Oh my.
Oh.
I said no. Yeah. We worked today, but I just said, you know what? I'm gonna, because normally I come to the savannah and take a walk.
Mum and Stephen,
Hello.
just want to take a few moments as we come to the end of our extraordinary trip here to Trinidad and reflect on the week. I think we've had a great week. I'd love to hear both of your perspectives, Mum.
Well, I think that it is rather successful because you've achieved quite a lot really within the few days.
How do you feel being back in Trinidad after so long?
Really amazing, you know, having seen the development, how they have developed the country. It was just sort of wonderful to see the improvement.
Yes. Did you ever think that you would be returning to your birthplace and seeing the site where you were born?
No. And even that, to see the development in bamboo and throughout the Cedrus sort of village, you know, I was astonished really. You know.
Stephen, any reflections on this week?
I think it's just nice to come back to Trinidad with Mum, especially. I think that has made it a very special return here. To see where she grew up, where she boldly left to start a new life in the UK. And just, as I say, for us all to be together and to witness it, to make the journey together, I think it's a real blessing. And to see how Trinidad has changed. It's been an awesome and all-inspiring trip that's made you reflect on your history. Because they always say if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you're going. So it's been fantastic.
But it's interesting, isn't it? All the stories we heard about Mum in that house in Cedrus, the small walk to the beach, and we were able to retrace those steps. Stand right where Mum stood, how many years ago would that have
As
been?
a little girl.
So 80 years ago.
80 years ago.
Almost 90
My gosh.
years ago. Standing in the exact same spot where you stood was pretty impressive, wasn't it?
Oh, this brings back so many memories.
Uh-oh.
Everyone who wants to find.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. Whoa.
Yes, and to hear Calvin as well reminiscing on what we did as youngsters, you know, it was just fantastic. And even this morning, he actually talked about my mother, his grandmother, you know, how she was such a lovely woman, who was hardworking, you know, it was lovely.
And then the venture into the land, which we've been talking about for months, and wondering if ever we've been looking on Google Maps, looking at the Cedrus Point and trying to figure out where the land is, and quite fascinating to actually take a walk into the land. So wonderful to have Ray with us on that journey. In fact, I think without Ray we would have been somewhat lost.
Yeah.
about to me
cool.
because I love that type of history.
Mm.
Yeah, it really.
I was a little bit too excited.
Yeah.
The woman must have thought we were very strange.
No, because you actually getting to go back in time.
Yeah.
That's the beauty about preserving history, right?
I'm going to the Historical Society if I can on Thursday morning
Okay.
at 8 because they have, well, we could find out who Mr. Marcel was because they have all the records of this from the census.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah.
Okay. My God, is it?
No.
Well, we'll see this Campbell Street. Never saw that.
The bus, like I told you earlier about, the bus is to be right here, so everybody will know the bus. Well, they mash up that bus and sell it inside.
Oh, the tire.
There's
They
what?
probably put the tire out of the market.
Oh.
True.
There's a lot of them.
This is very Indiana Jones in the temple.
It is.
June. Oh, I might have a
What are
fright.
you doing to see a python?
A python?
Sugar cane. Touch that branch. Oops. Sorry.
If we had we should. If I'd walk with a spray marker or something.
Patrick Campbell purchased that land in 1898. It's pretty incredible to think. It's been 125 years or so since he purchased the land. And Stephen, how did you feel entering that space that Patrick Campbell, Virginia Marcel, her sister,
And the brothers.
and the brothers, how did you feel walking on the land?
Well, I guess you make that transition from seeing the document that gave him the right to purchase and own that land, as we did when we went to the ministry, to see his fair hand buying the land and the governor's seal, and then to fast forward it and then place your first foot on the land. Obviously I've been there before, but many years ago, and to just walk through history and to think, wow, this belongs to one of my relatives. And just to walk the land, the foliage, slight bit of fear because you're not sure what's in there, but then the reassurance of having, Ray, our cousin, leading the way through boldly with his cutlass, and just being there.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing feeling and a privilege.
And funnily enough, some of the landmarks that Mum spoke about, she spoke about the corner of South Main Street, I think it's called, on the corner there. But you had
With
to
the sandpipe,
turn.
which is
You've
which
been
they
describing
remove.
it.
Yes,
Yeah, you didn't forget
they
it.
actually removed the sandpipe because it's now paved over, but the little sort of road, the trace to the land remained the same. Just to think that I went there when I was about between 7 and 8, and I remembered it all. The pineapple lining the entrance to the land, the the mango tree. So good to eat mangoes from that tree.
Yes, we brought a
You
bag
know,
of mangoes.
But most of all, I am very, very happy that we got there because we've been talking about it for so long, trying to organize it, and eventually, you know, there we were in the land, all your planning between us, you know, and we did it.
We did.
Marvelous.
It's the beginning, though, of an interesting journey, I would
Marvellous.
say. You know, we've really just begun this rediscovery of Cedrus, your birthplace, but I think really the foundation for something great that's going to come out of this initial exploration. And I think really building on the plans that Patrick Campbell so many years ago, more than 100 years ago, when he bought that land, he was putting down a mark that this was going to be, as it said in the document, forever, for his heirs, for himself and his heirs, forever.
And I think when you read those words, it has such a powerful effect on you.
So this is your first time in Trinidad. I'd love to hear what you think about it. What are your impressions? Let me start with you, Alexander. What have you done in your week here in Trinidad?
Well, it was nice. We were fishing, we went to the land, we explored. It was very nice.
We went to the beach.
On the journey, something that you reminded you of something you'd heard from Grandma over the years.
She showed us the man or the family who cut up that man and stuffed him in a cow and then buried the cow, and then the police found them. And we saw this old man and he looked very fierce, and Grandma said he was part of that family who did that and threw his wife into
Grandma thought the man who said he was 115, that when she was a baby, he was 20 years old.
And what did you think of Cedrus and going to the land? Lana, I think you really thought that this was not something that you would naturally do. How did you feel walking in essentially the steps of your forefathers and foremothers?
Oh, it's dark here.
What?
Oh,
It's what?
It's dark here.
this is the beginning.
Well, what are we just walking in then?
The path to it.
because I thought I was going to be dragged into the undergrowth by a snake. It was scary, but I thought Ray was cool.
Alexander,
I liked it. It was fun. It was just normal.
what did you think about the land? Did it sort of live up to what you'd imagined? Was it different, scary? What did you think?
I thought we were gonna find cocaine dealers in there.
What did you think we would find in the land?
Snakes and animals.
Pineapples and spiders. I didn't see an ocelot though, and I wanted to see an ocelot.
Oh, mangoes.
Oh, mangoes.
Yeah.
Ancestral mangoes.
Any other impressions of your trip, Alexander? I think you had the chance to fish the waters of the bay between Venezuela and Trinidad. What was your take there?
It was very good. It's undiscovered, so there's lots of fish there.
What did you catch?
100-pound tarpon.
Wow, it's a big one, isn't it? Ooh. Any moments that you want to reflect on?
My cousin, I guess, if she's my cousin, or niece, question mark? I don't know, but she's adorable, and it's nice to figure out that you have more family besides your immediate.
Give Aunt Karen a hug. Come on, no, go on, give Karen a hug. Go on, go on. And give Auntie. Come on, give her a hug.
Bye-bye, sweetheart.
Oh.
Bye-bye.
Aunt Karen, give Karen a hug. Go on, give Karen a hug. Kiss.
Oh, don't
Bye,
fall.
sweetheart.
Oh, feel her gorgeous little hands.
The 1933 hurricane passed and didn't touch this at all. It was new at the time. It had no effect on that.
As a piece of history, look at it.
And they're letting it, like everything else, they're letting it biodegrade, right? Fall down. You know UTT up in Omega?
Yes,
you know these. You know that that nice big canvas cover, they let that mash up and replace. Have water now, that big graduation hall. Wow. Where Ken Julian goes there and boasts something and they sing Land of Hope and Glory, Mother of the Free and all that. And let that deteriorate like that.
I didn't like it at all.
Good. So
So hi Karen, now we come towards the end of this memorable trip. Can you just tell us what inspired you to even organise this? Because you principally organised this whole trip along with Calvin.
Well, first of all, I believe that it's really important that we are able to retrace where we came from. I think you said it in your thing. And so the idea that Mum had so many sisters and brothers, 13, some of whom I unfortunately didn't ever meet. Uncle Theo I didn't ever meet, but I'd obviously met most of her sisters and brothers. Returning here with her as the last surviving member of her incredible family just seemed like such an amazing thing to do. You know, when you're yourself now approaching your 50s, you start to reflect on your own life and you start to think about, okay, where am I from, where am I going? I now have children myself. Wouldn't it be amazing to return with Mum, to join you, my twin brother, and to bring Alana and Alexander to see in the flesh, for real, what they'd heard from their grandma. The idea that we have the opportunity to contribute to the development or the continuation of a plan that our essentially great-grandfather had in 1898 to acquire land and develop it, to farm it. The idea that we could help to maintain that legacy just seemed like an incredibly inspiring thing to do. Yeah.
Tell me about how you felt when you physically saw those records at the records office.
Well, I'm a little bit of an excitable character, as you know, but to be honest with you, seeing a document that is 125 years old with our great-grandfather's name, Patrick Campbell, that document of sale on that beautiful yellowing paper in a huge volume that had been stored away, I was ecstatic. I was so excited. I really couldn't contain myself, and yeah, it was just terrific to see those words and to really sort of bring it all to life. As I said, I was absolutely thrilled. I plan on returning. I want to, you know, they wouldn't let us take photographs, so I plan on returning and transcribing everything that's in that document. Yeah, just super exciting. Probably one of the most important historical moments that I've had the opportunity to experience.
And what about obviously seeing the records and then within less than 48 hours, you're walking on that land. How did that feel?
Yeah, so as you know, in that bound book, there is the written description of the land. There is actually a hand-drawn picture of the plot, marked, I think it was 15 acres with adjoining land, which actually said Crown, because as we all know, around the land that he purchased was Crown land, meaning the British Crown, signed by the governor. So this is, land that was part of the then Trinidad colony.
Yeah.
Of course, fast forward to this point, this is an independent republic, and so walking on what was initially Crown land and then onto this land that he purchased was like going back in time. Taking those steps through, it was pretty interesting, obviously, going through what has now become pretty overgrown land, but taking those steps into the land, really retracing the steps of Patrick Campbell, of Virginia Marcel, of Albertina Campbell, Mom, her brothers, her sisters. They talked about playing on the land, and here we are in our 50s with our teenagers and early 20s kids, Safia, Alana and Alexander joining us on this particular trip. Walking those steps was just, literally like being in a time machine.
And what would you say, obviously we reconnected with cousins of old and we met some new relatives. What would your message be to our relatives about the importance of legacy and preserving this land?
I think we all study history at school at some point in some way, shape or form, and we pore over those books with fascination about events that happened to other people. Here we have spent this week poring over perhaps the lives of people that we share blood and DNA with. There can be nothing more powerful than that, in my view, when it comes to studying history. And what I would say is that, we live for whatever the period of time is, let's say a span of anywhere up to 100 and something years if you're a Marcel, and the opportunity to be part of that legacy and that story, not just to hear about it, not just to comment on it, not just to observe it, to be part of it and to be part of building that legacy, I think is an incredible opportunity. And I think for all of our cousins, all of our aunts, all of our nieces and nephews, all of our uncles that we really at this point, don't have great contact with. We've been very lucky on this trip to see Ray, to see Calvin, to meet Trisha. That's just a small handful of this incredible extended family. And I would say that it's rare that a family has this kind of legacy that they can touch, feel, observe and be part of. And my intention is to ensure that that legacy is something that we guard with our hearts, with our minds and with our actions. And so that's something that I really want to be part of. And if I need to take a little bit of leadership here, do this at work all the time, but even more important to do this with respect to family, to take a little bit of leadership, to join arms, to join hands with the rest of the family, to ensure that legacy is realised and built upon.
That's great. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Stephen.
Well, I always had planned for something to be done to the land, because I've been saying to Teal years ago that, we need to develop the land and to see what we are doing now, investigating so something can be done. I think that I'm very proud to see how you two got together with Calvin and now Ray, you're all planning to do something with the land.
That's
for
right.
the future generation, because that's what my grandfather and my mother wanted.
Well said. And I think it's important that we have the ability now to document this so that all relatives can see transparently what we're trying to do when we talk about family legacy. I mean, Mum is the last remaining of that generation. And, you know, when you talk about Patrick Campbell and what he did back in 1898, we owe it to them.
Yes.
We owe it to them to preserve that legacy. Not many families are blessed with that kind of legacy. God is not making any more soil. He doesn't make any more land. And so it's incumbent on all of us who have the heart, desire and means to do it to preserve that legacy.
And apart from that, I'm very proud of him, because even way back he taught that, you know, that look, this land mustn't be sold, it must go on from generation to generation. To think about something like that in those days, you know, I think he was quite a clever man.
Pioneer.
Yes. And as Calvin said this morning, he said he never saw someone work as hard as Virginia Marcel, always working, going to the land, getting supplies, cooking, preparing. She was a very dedicated person from what I can tell. I only met her very briefly when we were under 10, I think.
Well, she was a hard worker, you know. She was a midwife, she delivered locally, she was a fantastic cook, you know, and she's the one who really cared for all her brothers and sisters, and also did everything relating to the land, because she had the what shall I say? Apart from that, no. She's the one who arranged to send my Uncle Rudolph, you know, money ever so often when he studied medicine abroad. She was responsible for doing all those things to my grandfather.
A true matriarch. So again, I mean, I think with her not just being all of the things you said, but having 13 children, it's hard to imagine in this day and age, but having 13 children, 14? One
Well,
of
it
whom
was
passed.
14, and Margaret sort of, Margaret passed away at a very young age. The story goes that she was playing, and it was bath time, and again, my aunt Tina, her sister, decided to bath Margaret, and after bathing her, she just collapsed and passed away. They said she was such a beautiful little girl, you know. That's the story, that's what I heard. But yes, so we had sort of the remaining 9 girls and 4 boys. My sister Vi was the eldest. Glenda was the youngest, and the second to last. But I'm still here. I'm still here.
Yes. So 13, 14 to begin with, then 13, unfortunately, with the loss of Margaret. And at this point in 2024, here we are in June, you are the only remaining of her children.
Wow.
And it was quite symbolic that when we had visited the land, we toured the streets in the area of Woisborough Village, sitting on the corner of Campbell Street as we let Ray return to his home, which is now essentially sitting on top of the home that she took care of for so many years, where she took care of all of these children. There was this incredible sun and rain at the same time.
Oh yes, that was amazing.
It was like a...
You know, as we came back from the land, and we actually parked in front of the house, the rain started, and then it stopped.
Yeah, it was almost like a blessing, as you put
Yes,
it.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, amazing really, to think about it.
Well, it's been really quite a moving journey to reunite with relatives that we know Ray, Calvin, to meet new relatives, Layla, Maya, Shafia, and now Trisha as well, we're connected to. So really a just incredible journey of discovery, and I'm extremely excited for the next steps. And so thanks for coming on this adventure.
Well, thank you for planning it. Thank you for planning it and, you know, organizing it, because it's something that you long wanted to do. You, both of you, you know, I'm very grateful to my twins for actually sort of making me return to my country of birth and seeing the development. I'm very moved.
Good.
Thank you ever so much.
Good, and we'll be back again, I hope, before too long.
Amen.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.